I'm about to share something with you that completely changed my life and continues to change my life. And that is this. People can only meet you where they are, not where you want them to be, not where you think they should be, but where they actually are mentally and emotionally. All of us, every single human being is walking around with a certain level of awareness, a certain level of consciousness. So this is determined by our conditioning. It's determined by our past experiences, both good and bad. It's determined by our environment. Every single one of us is the sum total of our past experiences and that conditioning. And that's what really determines where we are in our evolution, in our emotional maturity. And we are always given the opportunity to become more mature or to raise our level of self-awareness if we want to. But the fact remains that everyone you deal with is in their own level of mental, emotional, psychological development. So when you get so frustrated with wanting someone to treat you differently or to be differently or to show up differently, what you have to realize is that people are often doing the best that they can with the tools that they have, and it's not about you, just like it's not about me. And that's not to say it may not be good enough. Those tools may not be good enough, but that's what it is. That's literally what's going on. And so the more we try to make someone be someone who they're not, the more that we want someone to have a greater capacity for kindness, a greater capacity for emotional intimacy, a greater capacity for emotional availability, a greater capacity just for being a better listener. Whenever we want someone just to have more capacity, the more we are going to suffer, because what we have to do is just accept where they are. Now, that doesn't mean that we accept them in our lives, but it means that we finally let go of them having to be a certain way or their potential. And more importantly, we let go of internalizing their limitations and making it so personal and making it about our worth, because it's not personal. And here's what's really important to understand. This isn't just about other people. You can only do what you can with where you are emotionally and where you are mentally. I can only do what I can with where I am emotionally and mentally. If we want to achieve more, if we want to have more peace in our lives, like we can't always be happy, but if we want to have more experiences where we are experiencing peace and joy than not, then almost always it boils down to us learning how to grow, how to increase our capacity for more stress, because stress is a part of life, how to increase our capacity for more communication, how to increase our capacity for more connection. And so that's why I've said before, and you've heard me say this perhaps, that the way someone treats you is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their emotional state in any given moment. And if someone is repeatedly over the course of a relationship, whatever the nature of that relationship is, if someone is repeatedly not treating you well, not treating you with kindness, or constantly disappointing you, then you have to understand that that's just their emotional capacity. That is them acting from their level of awareness. And life becomes so much better when we learn how not to take things so personally. And it becomes easier when we recognize that everyone is doing what they can based on their emotional capacity at any given moment and overall. And this is so incredibly important for relationships, because the thing that I have seen sabotage more relationships than anything else is stress. And some things in life are incredibly stressful, just incredibly stressful, honestly. And there's no other way to look at it other than saying this is a really hard time. But if we are very honest with ourselves, most of the time, most of us are overreacting to life circumstances in any given moment because we have a lowered stress tolerance for multiple different reasons. A lot of us are operating through the day in some level of survival mode. And part of this is, that we see a lot in our culture because everything is about productivity. Sometimes it's a symptom of someone's hormonal state. Our emotional states are impacted by the food we eat. If we're hungry, the sleep that we have or don't have. Our emotional states are impacted by the kind of relationships we have. All these factors contribute to how we are going to respond to what's out of our control. And so if you're in a relationship and, let's just say your partner is exhausted, they've been working really hard, or they haven't slept well, for whatever reason. And then that day or that week, they're not really showing up for you at the level that you really want them to show up for you. And then what you could easily do is then, and what I see all the time is then people create a whole narrative, a story about why this person isn't showing up for them. If they really loved me, then they would show up, or they don't love me, or, we start to get exasperated and frustrated. And what often is happening, not always, but what is often happening is that we're not recognizing that perhaps maybe that person is not meeting you where you need them to meet you because of where they are that week or that day or that hour or that month, mentally and emotionally, because of everything else that is going on. So part of actually becoming more skilled in relationships is understanding that when we are really hungry, when we are really stressed, when we are really tired, that we are not actually, we're in a lowered emotional state. And that's going to make it so that we are not going to be as good of a partner, sibling, mother, father, which means that the self-awareness is that we have to then take care of ourselves. We have to fill our own cup so that we can actually show up for the people and the circumstances in our lives better. This episode is sponsored by O Positive. O Positive is a women's health company. They offer a range of symptom-targeting supplements that support women at every stage of life, from their first period to well beyond their last. And they have an incredible product called Urovaginal Probiotics. It is a blend specifically formulated to support vaginal health, vaginal pH, vaginal flora. And ladies, what gets in the way of that? Sex, tight clothing, sweat, hormones, periods, all of it. And when you take 2 of these capsules a day, Uro delivers noticeable benefits within 8 weeks. So take proactive care of your health and head to opositive.com/JOL or enter JOL at checkout for 25% off your first purchase. That's opositiv.com/JOL for 25% off. If you're frustrated with your partner, there's 2 ways to look at it. One is oh, they're exhausted. They're like their capacity at this moment is not enough to be able to fulfill my needs. But can I cut them some slack? And that's one example. Another example is you're in a relationship where you're dating someone and it's continual, they just cannot, like anytime you try to talk to them and you're trying to meet their needs, but they just can't meet your needs, or they hurt you or they betray you. It is a reflection of their capacity. So to bring this into betrayal and into being very hurt by someone, look, this is not to take away from our contribution to whatever is or is not working in our lives or in a relationship. Accountability is so important. But when someone mistreats you, it's never about you. Even if you had some role in what was not working in the relationship, when someone is unkind, when they mistreat you, it is a reflection of their state. It is not a reflection of your worth. They are operating in some sort of survival mode, or their conditioning. Maybe they were mistreated by their parents growing up. Who knows? I mean, it could be a myriad of reasons, but it's a reflection of their capacity. It's where they are. It's not about you. But we get ourselves into really bad mental states when we, number one, internalize someone else's mistreatment and make it personal rather than seeing it rather than trying to understand why they did it. And this isn't about letting them back into your life, by the way. It's not about that at all. It's about not internalizing it. And then number two, we really sabotage ourselves mentally and psychologically when we try to make them be someone who they're not, or we try to speed up their personal growth. We try to quicken their personal development. We try to make them into someone who we need them to be, rather than seeing who they actually are. And this is happening all the time. And again, this is not about, well, then just accept them in your life. Whether you decide to stay in a relationship with this person, whether you decide to stay friends with this person, whatever you decide, that's not the focus of today's episode. The focus today is stop trying to make someone be someone who they're not, and stop trying to resist the fact that someone does not have the capacity mentally and psychologically to show up in the way that you need them to. It's incredibly liberating to be able to finally say, you know what? This isn't about me, this is about them. What is about me is me having to decide whether or not this is enough for me. What is about me is me trying to force them to be somewhere where they are emotionally, instead of actually accepting where they are emotionally. What this is about is me focusing on where I am emotionally, because you can't control anyone else's path but your own. Everyone is on their own path and their own journey. And there was a really interesting analogy that was used recently by a teacher of mine. It's like, you can't go to a mango tree and expect to pick an orange. If you go to a mango tree, then you have to, for your own sanity, only expect mangoes. And really let that metaphor sink in, because this is what we're doing all the time. We are going to mango trees and wanting to pick an orange. And how would your life change if you were to apply this to various aspects of your life? If every time you went to the quote unquote mango tree, you did not expect anything else other than the mango. Now think about yourself, because you're at a certain level of self-awareness. And hard truth, most of us think that we're more evolved than we actually are. And one of the most profound shifts that I've made in my life is just being really humble and recognizing that when I'm really struggling with something, whatever that might be, I recognize that I'm struggling because I need to look at it differently. I need to be more open-minded, more mindful the way I look at something. Or it's because of my nervous system state that day, or it's because of my own patterns and conditioning. Whatever I'm struggling with on a profound level where I'm really overreacting to something, meaning like, it's not like I'm struggling because a loved one died. I'm struggling over maybe something that, I can't seem to figure out, like, why I'm struggling. Like I like, it feels like I'm struggling more than I should. I realize that I am actually doing what I can with the level of self-awareness and physical, nervous system, mental, and emotional capacity that I have in that moment or in that day or that month or that year. And then it puts things into perspective. Then I realize my humanity in all this. And instead of trying to like force me to be better or to do better or to just to be different, I focus on what it is that I can control so that I can make my capacity deeper and wider. So that might mean that I need to rest. That might mean that I need to do some exercise. I might need to do some nervous system work. Or it might mean that I need to talk to someone so that I can really start to see things from a different perspective, because I'm too rigidly stuck in a mental pattern that I've had for a long time. And you all are doing that all the time too. Like, we get stuck, we get rigidly stuck. And so the only thing that you can do is ask yourself, okay, is this because I'm stressed? Is this my nervous system? Is this because I'm just like in a pattern right now? Like, what is it? And then start to reverse engineer and try to figure out how you can increase your capacity based on what it is that is missing. But you can only do this for yourself. You can't actually do this for someone else. You could point out to someone else like, hey, have you ever considered looking at it like this way? Or if it's a loved one, you can say, you know what? Maybe you need a meal. You need some rest. Like, we can be supportive in that way, but everyone's growth and personal development is kind of their own business. This episode is brought to you by Quince. With the hot weather and summer fully here, I always feel this urge to refresh my closet, and I love amazing cottons and linens and things that feel just really effortless. And if you're thinking 100% European linen, that starts at $30. You've got silk dresses, skirts, like soft cotton sweaters, all these things. It's incredible. This is all at Quince. Quince gives you luxury without the expensive price tag. And not only that, they have incredible sheets, like really incredible sheets, so soft, feels so good on my skin. And again, the price is unbeatable. So give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. Go to quince.com/onlove for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/onlove to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/onlove. So if there's someone in your life and you feel really hurt by them. And you are now feeling very unlovable and unworthy. And you're questioning your enoughness. Try to remove yourself. This is hard, but really important. Try to remove yourself from the equation. Instead, reflect on their emotional capacity at the time that they hurt you, and just overall, where they are in their journey, what their patterns are, what their conditioning is, and consider that perhaps the reason why they hurt you is not because you're not worthy and you're not lovable, but that it was literally because of their capacity. When you can do that, you will be free. And yet the more that you internalize and the more that you make it about you and the more that you take it personally, the more imprisoned you're going to feel by that whole circumstance. And this isn't about not looking in the mirror and seeing where we've contributed, like I've said before. It's literally about understanding that people can only meet you at any given moment where they are, not where you want them to be. And then if there's someone in your life and you just wish that they were further along in their maturity, closer to what you perceive to be their potential, remember this: the more you try to resist where someone actually is, the more you are going to be frustrated and to suffer. And the more that relationship is going to suffer. The more you can accept that where they are in their emotional development, where they are in their emotional capacity in that moment, where they are mentally, psychologically, and emotionally, the more you will be free. And you will be so much less stressed in that relationship, whether you decide to continue to be in that relationship or not. Remember this: when we resist the reality of someone's limitations, when we resist the truth of someone's emotional capacity, we will struggle and suffer so unnecessarily. But when we accept where someone truly is, when we accept what a person's capacity is in any given moment and overall, we actually step into alignment. That's when we're in flow. Whenever we're resisting, we're going to struggle. When we can accept, we're in flow. And then from that place, we can decide, can we love this person anyway? Can we give them compassion anyway? Or is this just not the right dynamic for me, not the right relationship for me? And then when it comes to yourself, remember, anything that you're struggling with, whether it's a relationship, whether it's job, whether it's your day, whether it's a conversation with family, remember, you are operating from your level of awareness. And so if you want to grow and increase your emotional maturity and your level of awareness, you have to ask yourself, what is my capacity right now? Am I coming at this from a whole lot of conditioning and resistance? Can I come to this conversation with a lot more compassion? Am I expecting this person to be someone who they're not? Am I pushing them? Am I projecting onto them? Am I being frustrated with them, wanting them to just be more like me or more like someone else? Because remember, whenever we are doing that with someone else, we are operating from a lower level of consciousness, because the highest state of consciousness truly is to be able to understand that we can only really focus on us and our own behavior. So when you are in a position where you can't figure something out, whatever that is, focus on you. Figure out what you need in that moment so that you can increase your window of tolerance for whatever life is throwing you in that moment. Jillian On Love is a QCODE production, executive produced by David Henning and Steve Wilson, produced and edited by Travis Howe, music by Will Tendy.